11:03. It's 11:03 on the 12th of April. I'm live in 104.7 with Kevin De Freitas. In case you all don't know who Kevin De Freitas is, this is Kevin De Freitas. You seen your face?
Yeah.
Say hello to the people.
Hi.
Right. Kevin De Freitas is the producer of the show. He's the guy behind the console that makes it all happen. We have one more ad and then we're going in. Spread the word that we're here. Share the live. We're going to be taking calls on 628.
No, can't take calls.
We're not going to be taking any calls at all.
No, can't be. Phone's down.
Our phones are down. Did we pay the bill? we could take calls on 628-211-682-2110.
Yeah, that's why they call you.
I can take calls and patch it through the mic myself.
Yeah, they can do that.
Okay, we'll be taking calls on 682-2110 and you'll announce that. Yeah, and I'll just patch it through the mic. So I'll set that up. That worked out well. Today, we are going to be discussing all manner of issues in the public space of urgent and pressing importance. Those of you who want to hear it clearer, I don't know if the broadcast on the radio is clearer. Spread the word, share some texts and some WhatsApps, tell them we're here, and we're going live.
Song.
Vote them out.
Let's get inside a sense and sensibility. Got Phillip Alexander here with me this morning, and we're going to be discussing many things. In fact, I have something I want to ask you, Phillip. Now,
before, if you could, let me just say good morning to all. Have a mic yet?
Yeah, there you are.
I have a mic now?
Yes, you have a mic now.
Good morning to all the loyal listeners, 104.7, all of those who follow Sense and Sensibility, those who are following me on Phillip Edward Alexander Facebook profile. Good morning to Trinidad and Tobago. Yes, Kevin? You wanted to ask me a question.
Yes.
I'm in the process.
In a country such as we are living, in the state the country is living now, we are seeing failure after failure across the board. Failure in many a minister. No, don't mind excuses being made for them. We're talking about that because we know they're good at that. Failure after failure after failure. Things getting bad. Things getting hard. Whether people want to admit it or not, there are failures in the systems or in the bureaucracies out there. Why in the name of God do we keep voting the same way if we have to deal with it? Why is it we seem to have a problem with thinking, hey, we can make a change. We are seeing a positive change somewhere and we having a problem accepting it. You might have something, what's your feelings on something?
Psychologists would have a field day in Trinidad and Tobago addressing this issue. I want to tell you, if you ever get involved as a social activist or involved in any way and deal with people who are victims of abuse, you would discover early on that people tend to choose certain character traits themselves. It is why if you are a critical thinker or a conscious person or a functional person, and you see behaviors in politicians that would make you think, I could never vote for somebody who is capable of such behavior, and yet you wonder how those people get voted into office. It's because many of the people in this country and the majority of people who do the voting and those who go to line up and wave flags at political rallies are the biggest victims of all of the abuse of these political parties. It's become ingrained. It's become institutionalized. We have a victim culture in Trinidad and Tobago. I said, this is a hostage crisis. We need a rescue.
We were taught to be, to
Worse, we inculcated.
Yeah, that's good. That's like a better word. Taught, inculcated into our system.
A little girl
Ideas.
that grows up in a home where daddy beats mommy regularly, and then mommy and daddy takes the little girl out for ice cream. That little girl, and a little boy as well, will grow up thinking, equating licks with love and ice cream.
That's kind of sick.
It is. And it is why I say that the country needs an urgent intervention on a massive scale. Trinidad and Tobago needs educating in a real and meaningful way. Not 1 and 1 is 2 and 2 and 2 is 4. We do not engage in any conversations in this country in ways and means to guide and advise people how best to live a proper life. We do not give them the tools to make a proper life. We treat Trinidad like a mad hustle, and we wind our people up and set them loose in the hustle. Because at the end of the day, the people who control the gravy train just want productivity and profit. If you travel the world and you see how citizens live in real and functional countries, you'll understand that they have in their mindset an almost appreciation of their rights as citizens that we don't have here. We don't see ourselves as real citizens of this country. We live here, and we have an opportunity here to hustle and get whatever we could get while we are here. But to the average Trinidadian, success is measured by escaping here.
Okay.
Read threads on social media by people who are living fully functional lives in functional first world countries and see how they speak about Trinidad.
I see all I have to do is look at my sister's lives, and there is a marked, huge difference. Huge.
I was reading this guy's post on Facebook this morning. A guy named
opportunities they had to get their own homes and stuff. It's like that doesn't exist here.
We were doing a call-in show once on poverty, and a guy called in live from somewhere in the States, and he left Trinidad as an engineer during the first recession.
Yeah.
And he couldn't get a job as an engineer because, of course, he had no papers. He landed in the States illegally. So he took a job as a janitor. And he remained a janitor even after he became permanent, because the janitor's job had afforded him a home, cars, and put his children through university, and they were now fully Americanized, and they were now fully qualified and went on to a much greater life than he could ever have given them in Trinidad and Tobago. And the sadness in that statement is that this country, Trinidad and Tobago, is so much more wealthier than the United States of America is. And people wouldn't believe that.
We're more wealthy than we realize in this country.
We're supposed to be able to manage our social fabric a lot better.
Why is that we don't realize this? Why have we been believing everybody poor? Everybody's supposed to be poor. Everybody's supposed to be accepted help from the always. We're supposed to ask for money from the government, and we're supposed to get it. Because
we've been handed a social democratic experiment under the Eric Williams PNM, and it was a socialist manipulation of the society, where he arranged for the followers of his party, first of all, to have a mass enemy its size. If you read Alinsky-style politics and divisive politics that work in banana republics, the first thing you do is destabilize the population. You create a ruling class and an enemy for the ruling class.
Is that Alinsky?
Alinsky, Saul
yeah.
Alinsky.
Yeah, I know Saul. That's his name. Saul. I've seen the name.
If you understand what was done when Eric Williams made his statement referring to the East Indian population as a recalcitrant minority, he empowered the grandchildren of Africa to see the grandchildren of India as second-class citizens trying to get what the PNM told the grandchildren of Africa was rightfully theirs in exchange for slavery and colonialism.
It can be interpreted differently. Can be interpreted differently.
Yeah, I have a problem with that. I mean, I could lie and you could lie. We could all make up things to suit ourselves. We could rewrite history.
A whole bunch of stuff he said for me to read.
Yeah. The latest style and fashion within the PNM is there is a small educated clique embarking on revisionism. That when they referred to a Calcutta ship, they want to tell you that it was something else they were speaking about entirely. I don't want to go down this road too much because I don't want to give credence or credibility to anything that was done.
This is leading up to something else I want to say.
You cannot create a culture of entitlement. You cannot divide the population into who is entitled and who isn't. And then tell those who are entitled that you don't even have to work. I will mind you. I will give you money for cigarettes, money for a nip of rum. I'll actually give you somewhere to live. You'll come out and work for 10 days and you only have to show up for 5. You can't create that as a society. And when that becomes endemic and takes root, wonder how do we explain this? We've created a culture of entitlement where people are willingly, when you listen to the PNM's campaign rhetoric, when they lost in 2010, they didn't lose by much, you know. But when they lost in 2010, they lost on a campaign. I watched Conrad Enel, who was a massive student of Eric Williams' socialist policies. And Conrad Williams believed that when people got a free bus pass, or when the elders got a free boat ride to Tobago, Conrad Enel believed that it was the PNM doing that. There are people in the People's National Movement who believe that even though it was treasury money that was spent to build schools and pay teachers, that it was a PNM education.
I'm aware of things like that in school.
And that's why schools were built in certain parts of the country and not in others. So when Bastio Pandey came into power and the Guardian wrote Chutney Rising, all of this is our history. We have to know this too. Bastio Pandey had to embark on a massive school building program. That was Kamla Prasad Bisessa's job. They built so many schools. They built a school in Port of Spain and they shut down. They didn't do due diligence and the fumes were affecting the children in the school and they had to cancel that one. There are schools that have been built in this country. Schools and early childhood learning centers. I am sitting here in this studio. Across from me there is a school under construction 4 years now.
All right, but all this is leading up to the question, this part. The PEP is coming. The PEP you've realized you have a hell of a job ahead of you in changing the national psyche, the narrative, the political narrative we've been taught and speak all the time. How do you see yourself changing this? Because you remember what you were saying, it's been inculcated into many people to be a certain way. How are you going to change that?
That's why we work so hard. That's why we have so many public meetings. That's why we have live videos every night. That's why we have multiples of shows now. That's why we put out 21 policies at a glance so early in our career as a political organization. Within 6 months, we had a mini manifesto in the public hands, and we engage on a regular basis. Every Saturday at noon, we have public meetings. We invite the public there to speak policy. This coming Saturday at 6 p.m., we're starting the first in a series of open mic sessions where the entire public meeting is a microphone on a stand and everybody who's present could ask questions. And the reason we've been doing all of this is that we agreed at the start that the most critical thing that the country needs is the population needs educating. The population needs informing. Most importantly, the population needs empowering. You cannot get a woman to leave an abusive home until she believes that she is deserving of a better life. Because if a woman believes...
I actually understand, she is being abused.
Yeah, but if she thinks that she deserves to be abused...
I think that's better.
Most addictions, most people who get themselves into those situations, they accept in their minds on a subconscious level that this is who they are. James Allen wrote in his landmark work, As a Man Thinketh, which is a book every Trinidadian should read, man and woman. It's a very small book, it's available online, it's free of charge. And he wrote in As a Man Thinketh, no man can ever rise higher than his own vision of himself. In other words, the difference between Barack Obama and the drug addict that parks your car outside Zen is that Barack Obama saw himself as being deserving of being president. And the drug addict who parks your car outside Zen, he sees that as his life and his condition. And until we as a nation, those of us who are fortunate enough to have escaped that trap, those of us who have the ability to think beyond the blinders, we have a special responsibility to try and rescue people and get them to understand the truth of their condition. And that's why we say again, the Progressive Empowerment Party, its first mission and its continuous, constant mission, and we've had 44 public meetings on a Saturday, 15 public rallies, we've had 2 protests, we've had hundreds of hours of live videos, and all of them dedicated to just that process of educating, informing, and empowering.
It's very important. People need to know what is going on. You have to take the time and listen. You cannot, I tell you, you know, you can't vote based on you look like me. You have to think about it, think about the future, what is being did. You hole in your road in your street, it fixed yet? Ms. Laramie, you know what I'm talking about. You know that hole's still there. Getting bigger and bigger. It ain't fixed yet. Just saying. Just saying. People, it is now 11:20. Give it our time check courtesy of Royal Castle. And remind you, those of you artists out there, remember the Kiss Kiddy Talent Search is on, if you will. It's the 2020 Talent Search. It's all happening. The auditions for it at the Club Amazon. I get it from I've seen Amazon. It's Club Amazon this Saturday between the hours of 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. If you perform and you want to be part of the Kiss Kiddy Talent Search for 2020, hey, Club Amazon this weekend. A good morning to you.
Good morning, Trinidad, and of course, good morning to the sufferers in Tobago. And a very special good morning to the public service of this country,
Public service was real good to me this morning, so don't say anything bad about it.
I don't know.
In particular was very good to me.
I am the one that always tell you we have the best public service in the world. We have to thank Watson Duke. The man has been working. The most efficient public service in the world is in Trinidad and Tobago. You know that very well. They fling the wrong passport at you when you went the other morning. All they were trying to get.
They were very grateful to get it back this morning.
They
were looking for it.
They would have been genuflecting and all of that, and you should have negotiated. Say, listen, I'm giving you this back on one condition: you give me my passport today. But again, you're not a negotiator. You have no trump in you. All you have is a set of bush. You know, like when you're playing all fools.
Why again? This morning, so.
That's not an insult. That is an education.
I feel it. I take it personally.
Well, you can. I mean, it's like the voters in Trinidad and Tobago. You tell them the truth and what they will do. They look at you as being the wrong person. Well, if you're very angry about me, you should do like what Daryl Smith has done. Get called a dishonest guy, called out into the society as being somebody who did something that was unbelievable. Have some sort of overtures against a woman that got 150,000, has his face and name and everything on the front page of all the papers for 2 or 3 consecutive days, and he never wrote a pre-action protocol letter. But you only say, they're thief, and the pre-action protocol letter is there before you finish the word thief.
I'll do like Dylan instead then.
But I want to ask you a question. How is the same Keith Rowley, who, and he appoints the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Finance is Corporation Sole, responsible for appointing all boards and all chairmen of all boards. So Keith Rowley is responsible for call member who's responsible for the Angostura board. How come you could fire Daryl Smith and Rolf Balgobin is still heading Angostura?
Well,
and what Rolf Balgobin is accused of doing, not just by this one woman that they pay off and fire. What Rolf Balgobin is accused of doing by others is so heinous and serious. And he is littering the landscape with pre-action protocol letters. They've sued Diana Mahabir White, Kirk Waite of Fixing TNT, Brian Stone of the UNC.
And soon you.
Well, for calling his name, but you see, I have a trump card. I want Rolf Balgobin to hear me when I say this to him here. That Adita Dionarine, who left Trinidad because of him, is my sister's best friend in the world.
Where?
And if Rolf Balgobin come at me, Adita Dionarine will be on a plane coming back to put his real business in the road, and Asha Javid will be witness number 1. Because Asha Javid had that information and refused to run it in the Express. because the Express had a connection with Angostura, One Caribbean Media. And these are things that I don't ever take funny. We have a situation in the country where your Prime Minister is accused of things far worse than what he fired Darrell Smith for. Keith Rowley should have fired himself. But Trinidadians are not self-respecting enough to hold people to account to their own espoused standards.
You see, Philip, again, I don't want to say that both you and I sometimes think very utopian. We expect the best of everything. But you were making the point earlier that the same drug man that parks the car is no better than the guy who is a jefe,
Right.
because he sees himself as a drug man.
Let me just say this, people don't let no drugs, man, park your car, you might not get your car back.
No, it's not that.
It's the piper,
If you let the piper...
Wash your car, that's another story.
No, but
Go get it.
don't pay the piper the money in front. He gone for the rock and forget your car. His motivation is the money for the rock. So
You see, the reality about all those things you say in there boils down to exactly the book that you read. That if somebody sees themselves in that light, how are they going to become better, bigger, superior? You understand? They're not going to be. So that is the level the person has seen themselves. And I say that because, I mean, I didn't know you were going to speak about this morning, but on Friday the 9th of March, which was just about a month ago, the Prime Minister at that time, headline on the Express, PM not afraid to act. Now, we have a more serious matter than even the Darrell Smith. Darrell Smith is maybe the tip of the iceberg.
Darrell Smith is not in the ice. We have much more serious, far more serious issues to address. Tobago is a massive issue
Well,
that is demonstrably. If you had to fire one minister, Robert Amar, if you were in Keith Rowley's position and you had that entire clunker of bungling idiots to choose from, wouldn't Rohan Sinanan be job one, fire him?
But at the end of the day, there are plenty of people inside of there. There is a level of incompetence straight across the
Call
board.
members' failure. Today they announced that oil and gas is doing better than they expected. Call member who went chasing $300 million through the property tax, who said that that shortfall is critical to the nation. They admit today that oil and gas revenue and tax collection has increased far beyond expectation, covering that $300 million. Do they return to the parliament and repeal their property tax act?
No, they wouldn't.
Then what they do with this money? Find other fake programs and other fake contracts to exploit the people and treasury?
Well,
Find another Aripo, find another Manzanilla to give Calco $400 million to go and remove the virgin forest that was responsible for the setup of the Environmental Management Authority in the first place, that ironically gave him permission to raid.
Well, I think you can't say that yet, because I think the court is coming in tomorrow on that decision.
There's an appeal to appeal, but the court has given them permission to continue.
Yeah, but the way the system works, and we can't fight the system.
They're seeking leave to appeal again.
Right, and the question is, we'll know what happens with that
Every time.
tomorrow.
Well, you know what, we can stick a pin in that, but Robert, what was done already is so critical
I agree with
to
you.
the environment.
You know, it's no different than the Women's Association. I see that Camille Robinson-Regis has lashed out against the plot women. Big article that she sent out to the media.
The day I agree with Camille Robinson-Regis on anything, Satan would have frostbite. I don't agree with Camille Robinson-Regis, but yesterday I said Gillian Wall, as co-founder of Plot, and Catherine Kumar should both step down today in shame for publishing a release that did not do any due diligence to see if in fact the president had the power they gave her. Because what they did, forget Darrell Smith, what they did was they just called this same president, Paula May Weeks, and her predecessor, Anthony Carmona, co-conspirators in all of the bacchanal. Because if you could refuse to appoint,
Well, okay, stop.
you could disappoint. You could revoke.
No. You can't make it that simple. You gotta go back to President Robinson. Hold on. You gotta go back to President Robinson and Pandey. Because at the end of the day, President Robinson
Borrowed 3 days.
but whether he borrowed or not,
He said at the end of it all, he has no choice.
I agree.
The Constitution says
And
he is mandated. 76.3 and 79.1 are clear.
How does that change the fact of us not knowing whether there's truth between what was intended as by the way, a passe? Forget what the rules
You
are.
mean that the president might have said, hold your hand?
It's possible.
But why did she rush to put out a release that said that's nonsense?
At the end of the day,
Why did she do that?
It is called the CYA approach. Everybody in this country is the CYAs. There are very few people that, like yourself, who will come and say what you have to say and get it off your chest, you know. She still have a job, you know. Her ultimate objective, if things go south, is she have to step down. You want another debacle of the shortest incidents of appointments
where in this nation do people step down? Did Gillian Wall and Plot put out a release today apologizing for misleading the nation?
Well, again, hold on. You know, Philip, you make these statements. I have to tell you like how Kevin has told me. Sometimes you're very gullible. Because at the end of the day, you just hear something and you don't make any determinations as to whether or not based on women. We're talking women now, eh? Who knows which woman talk to which woman that talk to which woman that bring back this story that potentially could be correct. Maybe it's not public, but it's a woman's organization. And these women are not, I don't think that Katrin Kumar and Wall will just jump off the bandwagon to say that Paula May Weeks makes a decision
No. But you see, what they said, and they went above and beyond, and they reiterated in their own release, and they gave the president powers that she does not have, and the Constitution is clear. And I'm saying to you, I'm not defending the fact that the president is a toothless bulldog, and that we either give the president some powers or cancel that waste, because we need to deal with that. That's another conversation for another time. But our truth and our reality is this morning. If you are an organization that would like to consider yourself leading critical thought in the nation, you have to make sure that before you speak, you know of what you are speaking about.
Okay, we take a break. When we come back, we'll re-enter that because you and I have a different view.
All right, people, it is now 11:30. Give that time to courtesy of Rodney's Supermarket and remind you to check out Kabuki's Black is happening. That's right, it's happening the weekend of Mother's Day, particularly the night before Mother's Day, Saturday 12th. It's all about black. One place, one people, one black. Kabuki's Black event happening at the luxurious La Soledad Estate, Maracas, St. Joseph. From party like it's a birthday from 10 p.m. midnight. Mom, you're gonna be blown away. Premium bars, a large food court, and of course salsa and a Latin dance off as well. If someone want to get interested, $200 is the price of the tickets. You can get them at Cleveland, Port of Spain, Bobby's Bar and Kirep, Hearty Foods, Arima Fats International, Sylvester's Bar, In Excess, La Luna Bar and Aruca, Sal Lounge and Shops of Arima, Diamonds by Sarah in the South, Kirby's Barbershop, Chagonas, and of course the hotlines 293-1145. 772-2661. Black, magnificent. It is deep.
I want to pray for you right now.
TNT, it's the night before Mother's Day, where you ladies know.
Trinity, Value Optical, Mega Ball, Mother's Day.
Take out Trinity, take out Value Optical.
Mega Ball, Mother's Day.
There is an issue of social engineering. A lot of what you're not talking about. Remember, people of Trinidad today who have been engineered not to receive. I wanted to discuss something if you would have me. Don't mind me waiting. I was interjecting. What you're talking about.
Can't do that now. They'll come on as a guest at another time. They can't do that now.
What is that? Just tell me what it is.
No, I just wanted to discuss social engineering because a lot of what you're talking about there has a lot to do. The people's response or lack of a response has to do with how they've been conditioned and it's been intentionally done so. So what I wanted Dad to talk about is the PEP's plans to re-educate and basically re-civilize our society.
That's what we're doing.
We will enter that discussion because one of the things that I think needs to be done in looking at what is happening in the Americas after the 17 were killed in Florida. Generation X has kind of stood up and they have launched what is called the REV campaign. Register, educate, vote. The first thing you have to do is we have to get people registered. You see, because we don't have enough people, young people, to really flip the script in any area at all.
Actually, you do have limited.
But you know the Rev
They
campaign.
lack a natural education that the American children have.
Yeah, but that is what I'm saying. We have to introduce that. That is the first thing we have to do is agitate people to get out there and not register. Because it makes no sense talking about
They need to be
changing-
motivated to vote.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the first step.
They need to be motivated to
The
vote.
second thing is that in parallel, we have to educate why. And we have to have a cause. It's something
No, but
I
you
was
see, when
telling
anything
Phillip.
happens in the States, you can't just call that because, like Soros and the Democrat financiers who want to put a Democratic president back in there, going against the NRA to make that a Republican issue. So they're pinning Trump to the NRA.
No, but put aside that. If even if that is the situation.
I'm just saying that to you, so you understand.
If even if that is the situation.
It doesn't change the fact that the net effect has a value.
Not only that, it has the support of the youth.
Yeah, they're motivated.
And the youth is saying, to hell with this. We are 35 million, the NRA is 500,000.
You know what I would like
So hold on, other people, let me tell you something. See, you Capital have all the people up there. We put all it there,
Right.
So if you play the
But that's what
we are going to take you out.
we need to get people to think like
But
that.
you have to
that
have
they
the-
could when
yeah.
Your mic's on in low Sharon size. So
Yeah, for some reason, it's up on the highs and it's just real low.
What you all can discuss is things like how to change the thinking. How to
if you
change
listen to the process, you'll see that's where it's going. We do that. We prosecute in a case. You have to start by laying out your case, and then you'll see-
It will take time.
It's a
I mean,
process.
this is not.
We have to teach the horse to drink,
Yep.
otherwise they can take it to water whole day.
no. If you can't force people to do something beyond their condition if they're not prepared.
Right. On the next one.
Alrighty, people, so let's get back inside of Sense and Sensibility. It is now 11:35. With that time check, courtesy of Hearty Foods. Talk about Hearty Foods indeed. Remember, it was yesterday Wicked Deal Wednesday, but you can look forward to another Wicked Deal Wednesday next Wednesday. But there are always specials to be had at Hearty Foods in Queen Street in Arima. And even have a hot box special every day. Food, cheap food, good food. Hearty Foods, Queen Street, Arima.
Affordable food, Kevin.
This Saturday at 6 o'clock, we're inviting the nation to an open-air conversation with critical thinkers on a head table. I am hoping that you will be there at 19 Stanmore Avenue. People are coming to ask questions as to how the thing works and how it's supposed to work. And we need more people able to answer. And I'm also inviting all of the people who think that they have a contribution to make, who would like to come and elevate the national conversation to where people are supposed to be thinking at, to come and make themselves available as well. And I hope you will be there Saturday at 6. Consider this your invitation.
I appreciate that. Here is where I think we need to change the direction a little bit. I mean, this is my thoughts. We are clear in our minds that in Trinidad and Tobago, in the perceptive thinking of the nationals, there are only two political choices. We are clear. We are clear in our minds that in order to get into governance, to make the change, you either have to be a minority that requires either of them to need you, or you have to be at the stage where you get the society to start to make the types of overtures to let both of them know that something else is happening.
Absolutely.
Trinidad and Tobago, unfortunately, is a very lazy country, whether we like it or not. We would be happy with
If I could challenge that-
364 days of holiday and 1 day of work.
That's for a fact. But politically, no, that's correct. But politically, on the two occasions that they were made to step up, the People's Partnership in 2010 and the NAR in 1986, and I was going to ask you just now, because you speak to the two options that exist for half the population, and I was going to ask you, what about the half who doesn't vote at all?
And that is the problem.
Are
Again,
they unmotivated to vote, or are they just don't care?
well, they don't see no real change coming.
No real option.
Because they are looking at all political parties as the same.
Well, we're looking at a nation where, to all critical thinkers, even those involved in the process, that the tribal ethnic vote divides the nation in two. To the people who are not interested in being a part of the tribal ethnic vote, who see both the PNM and the UNC as two sides of the same coin, stay away from the process. And that's almost half the population. If you mobilize those people to come out and vote, ignore the PNM and UNC voters, you'll still defeat them because half is more than a quarter.
I want to agree with you, Phillip.
So how do we...
But you see,
I don't want to call them lazy. You see, I mean...
Well, you see, you want to be the correct politician.
Not at all.
Because you want to use the words conveniently.
You just said it.
I just wish every day, Phillip, that I can't go in the gas station and blow up. I just wish every day for that.
You mean the people who don't switch off the car?
Correct. I just wish every day.
You must finish your sentence because people will walk away thinking Robert Amar just want to blow up gas stations. What you mean is, there are people who will go in the gas station. I watched some gangsters beat a fella in a gas station for trying to stop them from lighting a cigarette next to the gas station. They beat this man.
We have forgotten that video.
Remember what I'm talking about?
It was a video we saw.
They beat that man for standing up. This is why Trinidadians don't like to stand up because all the other people in the gas station, they outnumbered the people who was beating him. And we in Trinidad and Tobago, we don't stand as our brother's defender. So if somebody stand up for something, right, we step back and watch it as entertainment.
Well, no, I wonder what's
going to happen to him.
I think I want to redirect that. We don't stand up for those things that are important, but for sexual predators. We have people that stand up for that.
No.
Yes.
Standing up for Daryl Smith when Daryl Smith end up in play is not standing up. I watch the machinations behind politics and I see the lines that don't get written, Somebody wanted Daryl Smith gone. Daryl Smith's replacement exists. Somebody want to undo that. So instead of, it's like when Rudal was going and challenge Kamala and all of a sudden Rudal name get called and all kind of thing and Rudal boiled down like Baji. That is letting your opponent deal with your enemy for you. And somebody want Daryl Smith's spot or place because of all the sexual predators and molesters running free in this country. That barrel of lard, that is the one you go for?
Oh Lord, not even the most sexy man.
That is the one you go for?
I hear you.
Glenn Ramadan saying walk wrong free pinning thing on people's chest.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, he only pin.
And I told the UNC.
He only pin.
Anyway, let me leave it.
It's the same P. There was no penetration. He only pin.
Robert, HDC is a molester's paradise. We've been saying that for years. Take off your clothes and get a key, and you will put Keith Rowley and Daryl Smith to run that. No man can line up for a house again. Keith Rowley is notorious. He is notorious. That is his reputation. A journalist by the name of Anika Gums.
Anika Gums had made the statement.
That is his Paula Jones. That is his Paula Jones. Now, I mean, Anika need to explain why she kept going back.
Yeah.
That's a whole other conversation. But Keith Rowley does not have the moral authority to fire Daryl Smith for that charge. Because Keith Rowley has been charged with greater offenses of a similar nature. And if you fire Daryl Smith, integrity demands you fire yourself.
Let me just interrupt a moment here. Seems the buggery law has been struck down as unconstitutional.
The buggery law has been struck down.
Grab your ankles and smile.
So all the prisoners that are inside now, I think it's
No. Buggery is different to rape.
No, but that's not rape. That's
sodomizing. Sodomizing. No, but you see, and this is where people get twisted in the thing. Two adults.
And how long that law was on the books, right?
We
inherited
it from England. Two consenting adults putting their body parts in whatever body parts of each other is nobody else's concern between them and God. And I keep telling people, if the God that flung the universes into existence is so bored that he is only interested in seeing how you commit sex to sentence you to hell, we twisted and we pray into the wrong God.
Well, the Bible has a lot of
the same people who quote Leviticus, the book of Numbers, are very cautious with which quotes they quote from that same book. Yeah? That same book tells you if a menstruating woman walk in your house, put her out and wash the walls, Yeah. That's the reality of the book of Numbers.
There's a lot of
it's serious. So you can't cherry pick.
No, you can't cherry pick.
If you're taking the Bible, take it whole, and I said the other day. And how is it that a country that is every creed and race finding an equal place, only Christian theology influencing legislation?
Actually, there's a Muslim protest going on outside our justice.
Influencing legislation. You can't do that. You have to be able to say that if you are going to ban certain things because of Christian theology, you have to allow Islam and Hinduism to come in as well. So ban pork, ban alcohol, ban beef, ban sex in the road, because that's what Carnival is. A 2-day lap dance. And when we start to look at the big picture of Trinidad and Tobago, we realize that we are a little bit hypocritical. That the things that we give our attention to, that entire church that came out in their hundreds to march against that law, that didn't march for all these little children that murdering and getting murdered, shame on them. Shame on them.
I believe that we cannot allow any further for this destruction of the children of our country, irrespective by what mechanism. I mean, we have seen parts of the world where this is really they even sell the children right now for
Brazil.
For sex.
In Brazil, you could go on a child hunt, you know. In they call them favelas, that's in Brazil?
Yes,
favelas, they call them favelas. You could go in there and the street children are a nuisance, like rats. Like stray dogs. In Brazil, it's bad. And you could hunt them. There's a bounty underworld, and it's crazy. But you have a minister of national security. After they find 27 Venezuelans illegal in one house, he said, we'll send them back. I'm asking you, instead of mopping the floor for the water that leaking out the tap, turn off the tap. Secure the nation's borders.
They always say that.
Secure the borders. You're talking foolishness.
You are welcome for that analogy.
Which one?
Exactly what you said about
the tap on the water.
I'm fixing the pipe. I say mopping the floor all the time.
Bro, if you think you make that up, no, anyway. You know what? Take your credit where you find it.
Hello. I take it is good. I finally take one of mine.
This is the topper's boss. Be very careful.
Take your credit where you find it, bro. Take your
No, but I agree with you that the country can no longer continue to operate in this historical perspective.
But the media is broadcasting the foolishness. And the media is not asking that same Minister of National Security, when you raise the issue of we will send them back, why the media not asking how are they coming in the first place?
Yeah, what was the criteria?
How
Where
are they
is their
getting
passport?
in? You have people saying that Cedros, boats that barely water-worthy, bringing them in by the hundreds every single day. You just have to open your eyes in town. The whole country is awash with illegal Venezuelans, illegal Chinese, illegal Syrians, who here you could get on any corner now in this country a gyro and a chow mein.
I was mentioning it earlier. Yesterday I was near Living Waters, and there are a lot of Spanish people looking to be refugees there now. A lot. I went in to see what was going on.
Economic hardship.
The guard spoke to me, and he was expecting Spanish. When he heard the English, he was like, just go out here, please, Trinidad.
Economic hardship is a difficulty to bear with.
I mean, some nice girls. That's what got my
Do
attention.
not be giving people any political asylum home by you. But economic hardship is a reality. I know that's where you was going, Kevin.
That is providing employment.
Economic hardship is a reality. But you can't escape your country that is the #1 wealthiest nation for proven oil reserves in the world.
Yeah.
Who is going to defend it if you run away? Where does Trinidad run away to? Where do Trinidadians run away to?
America.
Where do the Tobago? No, Trump closed the door. Trump closed the door. Trump is now, let me tell you something, ice baby, you know. If you're not legal in the States right now, switch off your social media and go dark, you know. Go dark. Wherever you're working, hush them out, you know. If they're supposed to pay $100 and get 50, hush them out. Because ice baby, when ice reach, they're gone with you, you know. And that is the truth in the United States of America right now.
If you catch in your drawers, you're going in your
Ice,
drawers
listen, this is no joke. Donald Trump said that the United States immigration laws are a joke. And that he was going to fix that. When you look at other countries like Dubai, if you're born in Dubai, but your parents are not citizens of Dubai, you don't automatically become a citizen of Dubai.
Yeah, seriously.
Similar to England. you're born in England, but you're not a citizen of England as well. Because if if your family is not from England, because there are people who's get on a plane and born the child somewhere else and get citizenship. And you have to address all of those things. But in Trinidad and Tobago, we have immigration, customs, police, and nobody could stop the Coast Guard. Nobody could stop this from happening. You're telling me that we could spend $400 million on a highway and we can't put gas in the Coast Guard boat? Nobody can tell them, okay, well, by Christ, relocate from Chagaramas to Cedros. At least, if you're going to stay park up whole day, at least park up in Cedros.
Yeah, because it's the first kind of port of entry if you want.
But that's where they come in. The southern coast of Trinidad is the drug, gun, human trafficking, illegal immigration point of entry. That's it all there.
One area.
Why are our helicopters grounded in the north? Why is
the reaction time is too slow?
Why are the Coast Guard response boats grounded in the furthest northwest it could be from where the Bacchanal going on?
Historical without vision of leadership.
It's not just that, Robert. You can't.
And it can also be.
You can't make this incompetence.
It can also be as a result of the economic hitmen of Trinidad.
Robert, they're criminally complicit. The governments of the day, past and present, have been criminally complicit.
None of them have taken
We
any
could have
action.
secured this nation's borders 30 years ago. We could have stopped the drug trafficking when we had the Scott drug report. Instead, you had an organization in this country that's so powerful that it stopped a commission of inquiry report reaching the parliament. Trinidadians don't realize what happened there, you know. The Scott drug report was a duly accomplished commission of inquiry into something. When you read that document, you see the kind of work they did, the kind of interviews that they did with Teddy Mice people and Dolce people and who used to drop a kilo of coke where in town, and you get to understand who was the money changers and who the Ministry of Finance, Central Bank had on a list.
It's a good thing. It would be a good thing for us to publish that in the newspaper.
But it's available.
I know, but the people are lazy. So if we make it into the newspaper and pay for it, it could very well serve the nation well.
Aren't you even the least bit surprised that if that one failed, 40 years later, we couldn't do another one?
No. The thing is that...
Why isn't there an inquiry? Robert, I have been told from doctors, medical suppliers, and people working at the lowest level of the health sector in this country that there is one medical supply company in Trinidad and Tobago that bribes public officials to be the principal supplier of medical supplies, that bribes people who receive the goods to lose other people's goods or close the door when other people come to supply, who bribe people that sit in meetings that when you come to make your presentation for the products that you supply, when you leave, they pick up the phone and call and tell them, I just watch a product here that could work. You see if you get something like it now so we can bring it in. There are people who are being paid commissions in the buyer, being paid a commission by the seller to receive bandages and syringes. It is an insanity that we've spent $60 billion on public health in this country in 10 years and have nothing to show for it. And no one has yet called for a commission of inquiry into the public health sector of Trinidad and Tobago.
No, but that's not a true saying, because one was done a couple of years back, if I am not mistaken.
Into the efficiency of the health sector.
Okay. But
not in the operation of the health sector. And that is different. I am talking about the reality of the criminal conspiracy to defraud corruptly our treasury through public health. Why no inquiry into that? If the information is coming to me, you're telling me the commissioner of police doesn't know? You're telling me that?
Well, it seems that he doesn't know. Because at the end of the day, it's either that or he is also a part of the complete conspiracy, which I want to know.
Robert, it is a small group of people in this country that are connected by blood, by marriage, or by business association. And it is one small clique right now that are draining this country's treasury through the most heinous behaviors. And there is nobody at any level that is doing what is required to safeguard. I watched a documentary on the gardens in Singapore there is something Bay Gardens in Singapore that they spent $1 billion on. And it is now a wonder of the world. They made imitation trees out of, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And when you look at what they built there and what it is going to earn and what it offers to the people, and the entire thing is run by alternative energy and solar, and it is amazing what they were able to do with that money. And I look at what we spend on foolishness in this country. Crystal Bay Gardens. We spent more money than on the Couvers Hospital than they spent on that. We spent more money on Napa, Sapa, and Tapa than Panama spent to double the size of the Panama Canal. It is ridiculous, the kind of money we talk about, and it is so much money that I think Trinidadians have become stupid to the value of money. Because 100 million, a billion, a trillion is money. It's money.
Well, we come back 360 degrees. We started this conversation on the basis of, I would believe, the polarization of the country, the ineptability or the ineptness of those leaders who continue to just charge along the route of wanting to win power so that they could control.
Call his name. He had a chance.
So they can control.
Winston Dukaran had a real opportunity, and if he had
but he wasn't. I don't think that he failed Phillip. I think the people failed him.
In 2007, yes. But if he had held his corner in 2010, I mean, we could, hindsight is 2020. And if he had not joined with the UNC, maybe Manning would have continued on and become a full-blown dictator. By now, we would have had an executive presidency, globe-trotting in a private jet. Because that's where Manning was going.
The end result is that the solutions lies in the hands of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. I don't think that the people of Trinidad and Tobago are fully appreciative that they have the power. They talk it. They in bars and other places discuss it. But when the day comes for reckoning, they go back to
because the perception. No, it's because of perception. You're going to get people out to vote if they perceive. See, Trinidadians don't know the work that we did to stop Calder, Hart and Manning from seizing President's grounds to make a car park for La Fantasy. People don't know or they don't remember the work we did to stop Calder, Hart and Manning from tearing down the Royal Victoria Institute, Trinidad and Tobago National Museum to make a car park for Napa. They don't know the kind of madness that Patrick Manning, he was on a mad romp. He thought his power was similar. You ever read Macbeth? You should read Macbeth by Shakespeare. It's like people get drunk on power and believe themselves capable of just about anything. They make the maddest of deals. Chogam, what was the other one that they had a year later? Summit of the Americas. That's $2 billion that could have spent on so many important
houses,
things.
as you continue to say.
But there's 100,000 houses we could have done.
Hug would have seen across the world and was waiting for that person. When she get to hug back.
Who did that hugging? Gopi Schoon. Paula Gopi Schoon. Hug Obama. And nearly caused the Secret Service to have a conniption because you're not supposed to touch the President of the United States. But the truth of the matter is, and Kevin bringing up Camille Robinson Regis. Camille Robinson Regis is the last person to be talking about anything. She still have to account for that bag of money. Keith Rowley fire Daryl Smith for a sexual romp, but allow Camille Robinson Regis her bag of money unexplained in a nation notorious for drug trafficking and corruption, and you have a government minister who can't account?
The question that we have to ask ourselves in this whole equation with the Daryl Smith, I know we kind of veer off there, but the Attorney General of Trinidad and Tobago has to be culpable also.
Absolutely.
Because when you sit down and you assess this whole situation, legal opinion would have been sent
Faris
to him.
Al-Rawi is a lightweight wet spot. Faris Al-Rawi is a contract lawyer.
But you know, I understand.
He is nobody's legal advisor.
I understand through the grapevine that within the People's National Movement, there's definitely a faction.
Nobody in trouble. He has to be careful. Rowley can't be firing people because all they need to do is shift power behind somebody else. People don't understand that the Prime Minister is not carved in stone.
No.
He exists at the whim of everybody else.
The 21 or the 22.
Yeah, he exists at their whim.
Or 23.
I want to ask you a question. If Berkey Burke got into President's house between Carmona and McDonald for that picture. You think Berkey Burke have Marlene McDonald number saved in his cell phone?
No, you just say, Marlene!
No, because I asked you the point. The government that
Beyond voice activation.
Keith Rowley fired her for her association with him.
Yes.
What changed?
What changed? Keith needed to bring her back. Because she most likely, like Jack Warner had said about Kamala Prasad business.
Yesterday.
We were fine.
Yesterday. How does Paula May Weeks, Her Excellency, swear in Maxi Coffee to his new demoted
I
ministry?
don't understand. You see, but that brings me back to the point.
How does that happen?
That brings me back to the point. Hold on. That brings me back to the point. If she did that, what is to say that she didn't tell Keith?
But she can't.
No,
she has to be physically
Hold
present.
on. Here, forget that part. She can't do that. It's an appointment to be made.
You think a woman as capable as Paula May Weeks, who took that job, didn't know what she was signing on for?
Hold on. She knew. She must have known. That's not the point. The point is toothless tiger.
Absolutely.
At the end of it
the
all,
office of the president in this country shouldn't even be called president when compared to what a president really is.
I have explained
the high-level ambassador.
I have explained already to people in this country that you can't have an upper house, the Senate, where the end result in simple law
rubber stamp
gets automatically passed.
Rubber stamp.
Because the numbers...
Remember Pandey with the two Tobago senators?
Because the numbers give you the quantities that is necessary to pass the law.
Correct.
If the government of the day is serious and they want to show this country that they want to do something different, rewrite the legislation.
They're not. They
and
don't even know.
change the senatorial appointments.
They don't know that we don't need a president, we don't need a senator, and we don't need a local government. They use those things to their advantage and they accepted this is what the English have. We have this too.
They have left it.
We don't have people. Anyway, we're running out of time, and I'd like to say thanks a lot for having me. Thanks a lot, Kevin. Thanks, Robert. Thanks to all the listeners. Don't forget this Saturday at 6 o'clock, 19 Stanmore Avenue, 6 in the evening. We have an open air, open mic, and all are invited. Stay safe, Trinidad and Tobago.
All right, people. Well.